Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. The preseason is now over. Decisions are going to have to be made. 2 weeks from now, we'll have the first game of the NFL season. But tonight, we have a lot to talk about. The #1 topic on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, of course, will be the Steelers and what happened today against the Lions in a win as they go 3-0 and trying to challenge the Baltimore Ravens' 23-game win streak in the preseason. Here to debate it is your panel tonight. We have Andrew Fillipponi from the PM team. Far left in the middle, Josh Yohe from The Athletic. And to his left, that would be Chris Mack from the Fan Morning Show.
You know,
guys,
the 2007 Patriots went 0-4 in the preseason.
And won a Super Bowl, right?
And the 2008 Lions went 4-0.
I can't match this information.
And then went 0-16.
I'm just saying, what does it mean to have a 23-game win streak then?
Nothing.
Okay.
Maybe they're deep.
They could be. I don't know what it means, but the Steelers go 3-0. However, beyond all that, there are decisions to make. Let's just start with the quarterback. Is there anyone among us who believes that Mitch Trubisky should not be the starting quarterback?
Kenny Pickett? Andrew Fillipponi, you have the floor.
Well, should and will are two different things. You said should. I think Pickett should be, but he won't be.
Why should he be?
Well, because they drafted him, and Mike Tomlin said, we like that he's NFL ready. He's older than every first-round quarterback from last year's draft. And all he did in the preseason was ace every test.
But so did Trubisky, though, for the most part.
I'm just saying in a vacuum. If we're just evaluating Kenny Pickett, and Trubisky was out of the question, would you have watched him in the preseason and thought, this guy's ready to play in the NFL right now?
I would have liked to have seen him in the first quarter. That's what I thought Mike Tomlin was going to do at some point. Right? He didn't get that chance.
I agree. He should have had more.
Yeah.
But just his performance in the preseason, does he look NFL ready to you?
Against second-teamers, largely, yes. Some first-teamers. I think there's a time for that. I don't dismiss the fact that he's going to be, Josh, the starting quarterback at some point. That's why they drafted him. But for right now, I think Mitch Trubisky came in here. He got an opportunity, and I think he made the most of it. I think all three quarterbacks played pretty well.
The quarterback play in the preseason has been outstanding, and it was again today. I thought Kenny was good today.
Yep.
We saw him go down the field a little bit more. He threw some really nice balls. I liked everything I saw from him. That said, Trubisky was pretty good. And given how poor the offensive line was, again, in front of him, he's running for his life.
That's not what Tomlin said. He thought he saw positive signs in
I don't know where he was looking.
Mike Tomlin also said this was going to be an open competition between three guys,
it wasn't.
Which it wasn't.
Only if Trubisky was awful. Maybe.
Right. I mean, the plan has been in place, maybe parts of it written in pencil, but for the most part, the plan has been in place since they got these three quarterbacks in the building together. And that plan was Trubisky's QB1 until and if he falls on his face. If we find a draft pick, oh, yay, Kenny falls in our lap. All right, now we groom him. I think after originally thinking that he might sit for the entire year, I now am on board with the idea of him taking over at some point during the season because he did look that good during the preseason, and that, to Pony's point, NFL ready. And Mason Rudolph gets dealt if you can get anything for him. Otherwise, he sits there as your three.
He stormed out of the locker room apparently after the game. I don't think he's in a good headspace right now.
What would you do? What would you guys do? Andrew, start with you on this one. I would keep three.
I would have had Omar Khan go down to the Lions GM suite during the game, watching their two quarterbacks and say, what are you going to give me for this guy?
Bad.
David Blau and Tim Boyle? I mean, come on.
Well, to me, it would depend on the draft pick. If I'm going to get a 7th-round pick or even a 6th, I don't do it because I still think he has value as an insurance policy. I worry about that later.
Agreed. I think you hold out for a 5th. If you can twist somebody's arm into something better than that, you absolutely jump on it. But there are teams out there that are backup quarterback starved. The Giants just had an injury to Tyrod Taylor today. The Carolina Panthers...
Yeah, but they want Trubisky because of Dable.
They can want Trubisky all they want. They're not going to get him. He's their opening day starter.
Why didn't they sign him then? I mean, if they had an opportunity to, didn't they?
Because I think ownership was going to make them start with Jones. Yeah. And Trubisky thought here at least he would be #1 on the depth chart.
Exactly. They're going to ride it out with Jones until the very bitter end. But as far as teams, like I said, who are backup quarterback starved, Carolina is a great example. Baker Mayfield's a starter. Corral's out for the year, their draft pick. Sam Darnold, high ankle sprain. P.J. Walker, XFL superstar, is the only other guy on the roster. I mean, it makes too much sense.
Mason's
Mason Rudolph,
from there, right?
Yeah, Mason Rudolph from Rock Hill, South Carolina. An opportunity.
There are opportunities. Seattle backup. There could be. Who
knows?
But
if I told you right now that the Steelers were going to have to could trade a 2nd or 3rd round pick for a starting offensive lineman, would you do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
If I got the right starting offensive lineman.
If I can recoup an extra pick in trading Mason Rudolph, even if it's for a 6th, you know, I lose a 2nd, but I get an extra 6th. Now I have 7 draft picks to play with again. That's why I would do it, because I think
you're still losing value in those draft picks, though, Pony. Like, you're trading a second.
But
for
if I'm going to trade a draft pick for a player, I want to trade a guy off my roster, a surplus, to get a draft pick. Whether that's one of my extra receivers, whether that's one of my extra defensive linemen. If the best I can do is a 6 for Rudolph, I do that.
Well, because the way things stand right now, guys, I would keep all 3 quarterbacks because somebody's going to get hurt. And I'm not saying that jokingly. This is probably the worst offensive line in football with the worst starting left tackle in football. I would not want to be Mitch Trubisky walking into Cincinnati on September 11th. Well, he's going to get hit early and often. They're going to need depth at that position unless they upgrade at the offensive line. And that's not an easy thing to do. There's not good left tackles just out there.
Well, actually, they tried to upgrade. I think Mason Cole was okay, but James Daniels was not okay.
Been a disaster
and given what they paid for him, Chris, I would have expected more. And that makes me leery about now maybe their evaluation of guys they may have available to them at this point.
I was leery about Mason Cole to begin with because he's a borderline starter at best, and now you're putting him in the position that was the most trouble for you last year. I think I expected more out of James Daniels, but it sounds like, according to the people in Chicago who've seen him through the first couple years of his career, he might be better off playing center. I think they were woefully unprepared to juggle things on the offensive line during this camp and this preseason. I think they would have been better off moving guys around to find their best position. Daniels at center. Then maybe Cole becomes your left guard. Then maybe you can move Dotson to right. Then maybe you've got a more proficient offensive line. Look, none of these guys are great. None of them are world beaters. But if you can get guys in the best possible position, rather than just saying Mason Cole's our center, James Daniels is our right guard, and then having to deal with Dotson's injury, I mean, he's been hurt the entire preseason, and he's still going to win the left guard job by default. I mean, when you only draft 2 offensive linemen in the top 100 of the NFL draft in a decade, you're woefully unprepared to then turn over that offensive line when everybody ages out.
I don't know if Chooks can play the left side or not, but he's an okay pass blocker. I'd want him on the blind side before I'd want
they may end up trying that.
Don't they have to think about it? And this is embarrassing watching.
Well, I would keep an eye on Andre Dillard, who's the Eagles' backup left tackle, who was a first-round pick. You know, took him? Andy Weidel. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, but they have a few injuries on that line too. I don't know if they're going to be willing to give up depth.
I just know that sports, much like every business, is a relationship business. Just like Jim Rutherford always liked Jack Johnson, you get your favorites, you get your pets. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, guys, real quick, is that we're used to rosters, the 53 being set going into week 1 for everybody every year because that's what we've grown up with. Mm-hmm. Trade deadlines push back farther than ever in the NFL. It's not until November 1st. That lines up with the Steelers' bye week, so if they're going to make moves, that might be the perfect.
Well, they got Witherspoon and Schobert they traded for last year.
One good, one not so good, but they had opportunities there. We'll see. We're going to talk about, speaking of Schobert, or inside linebacker. When we come back, we're going to get into that a little bit. Devin Bush, what do we make of him? What do they do in that position? Also, we all thought maybe the starters played too much today, and there were some injuries. It could have been worse. It turns out not to be, but we'll discuss that when we come back. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown right here on KDKA.